Hello and welcome to the special draft edition of the Mr. Douglas Sports Show. I'm your host as always, Corey Douglas. And like I said, this is the special NFL draft edition of this episode or of this show where I'm just going to talk about the latest things that are going on in the NFL as far as the draft, with the draft coming up this Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time. And I'm going to focus mostly on the first round, especially the top 10. Because obviously the Dallas Cowboys are peaking at number 10 on Thursday. And the Cowboys, they have a lot of draft needs. But before I get to specifically the Cowboys, I'm going to go over some of the latest NFL rumors that are going out right now. There's a lot going on right now. And I think at this point, so close to the draft, I think you have to kind of be cautious on what you are believing, and because most likely if teams are talking around the trade deadline, around draft, around these special important dates, most teams are lying. They're putting out, smoke screens. They're putting out flyers just to kind of see what's biting, and kind of just, they might be thinking over here, but really they're thinking something over here. So I think that's a lot of what's going on right now. So on this episode, like I said, I'm going to get to the NFL rumors, like the latest and hottest news around the draft. I'm going to get into 5 prospects that I would love the Cowboys to have. 5 prospects that the Cowboys are kind of linked to at this point. And then I'm going to tell you how I think the top 10 will shake out. So let's go ahead and get right into it. The latest NFL news at this point, like I said, primarily focused on the first round. Okay, so I'm just going to go in order here. So at number 3, the 49ers are reportedly down to Mac Jones and Trey Lance. Obviously, they moved up into the top 5 in the draft. Anytime that happens, as far as the draft capital they had to give up to get up there, it's definitely going to be a quarterback. But like I said, it's between Mac Jones and Trey Lance. Throughout this entire process, most people around the NFL and who have scouted these quarterbacks and these players in the draft think it's absolutely nuts that Mac Jones is even in consideration for a top 5 pick, especially at number 3. But because of his resume he put out at Alabama and some of the traits that he possesses, Kyle Shanahan's reportedly interested in those traits. Going down at Atlanta, they are reportedly in between taking a quarterback, whether it's Fields, whether it's whoever San Francisco doesn't take at 3, or taking tight end Kyle Pitts. Like I said, I'll get to what I think they're going to do a little bit later. Number 5, it's rumored that Cincinnati is going to go with Jamar Chase at receiver. Obviously, former teammate of Joe Burrow, get him another weapon out on the outside. I personally would probably go a different route, which I'll get to a little bit later. At 7 and 8, the Panthers and the Lions are open for business. I think the Lions are trying to move off of that 7 pick. One of the teams that could be interested in moving up is the New England Patriots, and they reportedly have eyes on Justin Fields, who has really been slept on and disrespected throughout this entire draft process. I think a lot of people aren't talking about him, and when they do speak about him, they speak of him negatively for some reason. They point out a couple of games where he might not have played as great as he had been throughout the entire season, which that's going to happen in college. These quarterbacks, they can be kind of up and down sometimes, but Justin Fields is by far a top 3 quarterback in this draft class, if you ask me. I think he's right behind Lawrence and Zach Wilson. Or he might even be above Zach Wilson, but like I said, he's been being disrespected throughout this entire draft process. Another team that's interested in getting into the top 10 is the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, they were sitting with the number 6 pick. They made a move with Miami. They swapped picks, so Miami currently sits at number 6 now, but the Eagles are trying to get back up. Reportedly, they could be talking with Denver Broncos, who picked number 9, and the rumor there is that they could be interested in a cornerback, which obviously would hurt the Cowboys because the Cowboys are also looking at J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain. So And then one last team that's looking to get into the top 10 potentially is the Los Angeles Chargers. If they do move into the top 10, that pick is expected to be Penei Sewell from Oregon. Obviously, he has a connection with Justin Herbert, who had a phenomenal rookie year last season, college teammates. So that's where the Chargers may be looking to make a move if Sewell starts to drop. So now I want to kind of go over to, I'm going to do this two separate ways. So I'm going to give you the 5 prospects that have been linked to the Dallas Cowboys the most. And then I'm going to rank those 5 prospects as far as, how excited would I be if the Cowboys drafted said player. Okay, so as far as the Cowboys, there's actually 7 names that have been linked to the Cowboys via mock drafts or guys that have been watching these players since pretty much their entire career in college. But 2 of these names I'm throwing out because I don't see the Cowboys making either of these picks. And I think if these 2 names are the only names left on the board as far as the players that we're going to talk about today, I think the Cowboys would then trade back and acquire another asset or assets and go in a different direction and maybe get a better value later in the draft. So the first name is linebacker Micah Parsons from Penn State. He's an off-ball linebacker, and don't get me wrong, linebacker is a need for the Cowboys. Obviously, Sean Lee just retired. Leighton Vander Esch can't stay healthy. Jalen Smith just is not a very good football player. So linebacker is definitely a need, but like I said, I don't see the Cowboys making this pick at 10 just because taking an off-ball linebacker in the top 10 is not really great value. And Micah Parsons he's a good player with decent upside in the NFL, but there are some questions as far as character goes, and that's not something I would want to see the Cowboys take at number 10. Second name that I'm throwing out is defensive end Kwity Paye out of Michigan. Another guy where I think taking him at 10 would be a bit of a stretch, and I don't see the Cowboys going in that direction. So I got those names out the way. The other 5 names, number 1, and this has been my dream scenario throughout this entire process, and a lot of people have had a lot of bad takes on this player as far as should the Cowboys take him if he's available because the need isn't really there on the offense. That is tight end Kyle Pitts. And a lot of people think I'm crazy because, like I just said, the Cowboys, they have so many needs on defense at all 3 levels. So you're talking about defensive line, linebacker, secondary. They could use help in every area of the defense. However, picking Kyle Pitts at number 10 is not going to stop you from addressing the defense when you have 9 other picks to make. For some reason, these people just don't understand that for some reason, or they just don't want to get it. And I think my biggest, complaint with that mentality is the opinion that the Cowboys have not been trying to address defense this entire time. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. The truth is the Cowboys have tried and shot their shot at drafting defense. They just haven't done it very well. They haven't drafted very good players, and the players that they have quote-unquote hit on are your back-end, like Xavier Woods type 6th-round picks. He was a 4-year starter here in Dallas, but he was not a good player. So just because Kyle Pitts could be there at number 10, and if the Cowboys took him, that is not neglecting the defense because you have 9 other picks to use at your disposal to address the defense. Second name that's been linked to the Cowboys is offensive lineman Rashawn Slater. This is a guy that has drawn comparisons to Zach Martin as far as his ability to move from tackle to guard. And with the left guard hole and the injury concerns that the Cowboys have on the offensive line, that makes a lot of sense. Again, another offensive pick. If you take him, that does not mean you're neglecting the defense. Third name is Patrick Surtain from Alabama. He was he was teammates with Trevon Diggs at Alabama. Obviously, Trevon Diggs had an up and down rookie season, which is expected for secondary players in the NFL. It's a huge transition for them. So And that kind of goes into line with I'm okay with picking offense because to me, I feel like an offensive guy will have a bigger impact immediately than a defensive player. And like I said, the Cowboys' history is not really good with drafting defensive players. The fourth player, Penei Sewell, I mentioned him earlier in the program about the Chargers potentially trading up for him. He's another guy which it seems like some of the scouts and guys that have watched kind of have soured on in recent weeks as far as like his measurables, and they just feel like based off the measurables other guys have passed him. I still think he's a really good player, and I would not be mad if they took him at number 10. And then the fifth and final player is probably my favorite corner in the second or in the first round, and that's J.C. Horn. He's physical. He's from South Carolina. He's physical. He has that nastiness about him, and I think that he's a dog. That's what, I think that best categorizes him. And I think this secondary and this Cowboys team on defense could use another dog like that. So those are the 7 names. Like I said, I'm throwing 2 of them out, but those 5 names are guys that have been rumored to the Cowboys, whether it's via mock draft or just guys talking around the league. So now I'm going to rank those 5 players as far as my excitement level. So last year the Cowboys took CeeDee Lamb at number 17. Nobody saw that coming, and I was ecstatic with the pick. He had a very, very good, solid rookie season, and he did it with 4 different quarterbacks. So I'm more than happy with that pick. So number 1, where I would be that excited, is Kyle Pitts. This dude is just an athletic monster. He's a freak on the field, and he adds, like I said, another dimension to this Cowboys offense. And it allows you the ability to, if you need to trade Gallup for other assets, maybe on defense, maybe picks in the future, you might be able to do that as Michael Gallup heads into his final season under his contract. So you don't really lose much there because Kyle Pitts can play on the outside. He can play on the inside. He's just an all-around offensive weapon. My number 2 guy is the cornerback from South Carolina, J.C. Horn. Like I mentioned, his nastiness, he's obviously fits a need on this team, and I like the pedigree that he has. And like he's a dog. So yeah, number 3 is Rashawn Slater. I think what's going to take this offense to the next level besides Pitts is shoring up the offensive line. Obviously, Cowboys have been just destroyed with injuries with Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins last year. And Tyron is a bigger kind of issue as he gets older. He has back issues, and you can almost count on him missing 3 to 5 games. And in last year's case, he missed 14 games. So you can count on him missing games. So Rashawn Slater would be that guy, my 3rd favorite pick in this upcoming draft. Number 4 is Patrick Surtain. Fundamentals. He went to Alabama, so he got the proper coaching under Nick Saban. So I would be really happy with that pick. And then number 5 is Penei Sewell. Again, shoring up the offensive line is important for this team. We need to get Zeke back going in the run game. Make sure Dak is protected because we don't know how he's going to come back necessarily. We don't know what his mobility is going to be like coming off that ankle injury. Of course, the Cowboys are saying that he's either on schedule or maybe even ahead of schedule. That remains to be seen until he gets out there on the football field and starts taking hits. Okay, so before I do my fake mock draft of the top 10, we have a bit of breaking news. The Carolina Panthers have traded the most overhyped quarterback since I can't even remember, Teddy Bridgewater, to the Denver Broncos for the 6th round pick. I don't understand the hype with Teddy Bridgewater. I know he won 5 or 6 games in New Orleans with Sean Payton. But again, that's Sean Payton and that New Orleans system. And they were winning games with Taysom Hill last year. I don't think that says much about Teddy Bridgewater. But whatever, he's been traded to the Denver Broncos. And I think this gives the Denver Broncos a little bit of insurance when it comes to the quarterback. Just in case, maybe one of the quarterbacks does not fall to them at 9. Or if maybe they want to move off that pick, which we discussed earlier in the program. But back to it, let's get to what I think is going to happen in the top 10 in this upcoming draft on Thursday. I think the top two are pretty much signed, sealed, and just about delivered. That's the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're taking Trevor Lawrence. I think that's been known since the end of the college season, maybe even before the college season. Whoever had the number one pick was going to get Trevor Lawrence. At number two, the New York Jets. I expect them to take Zach Wilson. That's been out there in the media. Although a lot of people have argued against maybe that and think that Justin Fields would be worthy of that pick. But I think the hype is already too strong, and I think Zach Wilson is the pick there. San Fran, I am going to side on the people that think it would be absolutely nuts that Mac Jones would be taken at number 3. So I think San Fran is going to take Trey Lance. He only played one game in college, but there's a lot of the traits that people like, and I think he will be the 3rd overall pick in this draft. Atlanta is where the draft begins for me, because I think Atlanta would be smart to take their up-and-coming quarterback with Matt Ryan under contract. I think he's going to be there probably for about 2 more years at the very minimum, but I think it would be smart for Atlanta to get a head start on that process. Because who knows when you'll be picking 4 again. So I don't think they're going to take the quarterback, though. I think they're going to take Kyle Pitts, and that is if they can trade that pick. So if they make the pick, I think Kyle Pitts is that dude. Number 5, Cincinnati. I see Jamar Chase going there, although I would probably take an offensive lineman to make sure Burrow is protected, because Burrow took a beating last season. But I mean, you pair Jamar Chase with T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd there. I mean, that's a nasty trio at receiver. So I think that's the route they're going to go. The Miami Dolphins, who are also being rumored to maybe be trading, maybe back out of the top 10. If they take that pick, I think they're going to get Tua a weapon, because when they traded out of the number 3 spot in the draft, that told me that they're pretty confident with Tua. I don't agree with that, but I think they're going to commit to him at least another season. And I think the pick here is wide receiver from Alabama, Jalen Waddle, who obviously played with Tua a couple years ago in college. Number 7, the Detroit Lions become on the clock. And I think they really want to trade out of this pick. And I think once New England sees Justin Fields falling, I think this is where they jump in, take Justin Fields at number 7. So again, that is Detroit. I think they are trading back to 15 with New England. I think New England trades up, drafts Justin Fields, and I think Justin Fields has a real chance or a real opportunity to beat Cam Newton out in training camp with a good camp. Number 8 is Carolina, and I think they take a corner here. I don't think they take a quarterback after New England leapfrogged them to take Justin Fields. So I think they take cornerback J.C. Horn. There's been a lot of smoke around that pick lately as far as how fascinated that the Panthers are with J.C. Horn. So I think that's the pick. Denver. I see them. I think Philly makes a trade here. I think they trade up to number 9 and they take Patrick Surtain, and that is going to hurt the Cowboys, because if you're paying attention and keeping track, Kyle Pitts is off the board. J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain are off the board. I think that's 3 of their top options if they were there. So I think at 10, Dallas ends up selecting offensive lineman Rashawn Slater, which to me, that's not a bad pick. It shores up your offensive line, especially if he can turn into anything close to what Zach Martin has become. And then if Tyron Smith and La'el Collins can really come back healthy, I think the center position is in good hands with Tyler Biadasz. So I think that's the pick, and I think that's the way it shakes out. So yeah, I think that's the way the top 10 shakes out. I think there's 2 trades, and I think the Cowboys end up with an offensive lineman after both corners are off the board. So we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. I will be back next week after the entire draft concludes to kind of break it all down with you. But until next time, salute.